I would like to call the meeting to order, please. If you would all stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Dave, you don't have to stand, David.
That's all right, I got it halfway.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Do we have anybody here that would like to address the committee from the public? I don't see any faces I don't recognize, so I guess not. We will move on to the approval of the minutes.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
I move the approval of September 11th minutes of the regular school committee meeting.
Second.
Any discussion? Changes? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Abstentions or no votes? No? Okay, great, thank you. The treasurer's report, has everybody had a chance to look at it?
This came out tonight.
We have a motion to approve that?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion on the treasurer's report? Yes,
I was looking it over, and I think we're in pretty good shape.
I think
With
we are.
everything we're doing, we're still in good shape.
All right, any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? None. Okay. Where is it? Okay. We don't have any old business posted, but I did want to just comment on the conversation we had last time about what to do when a school committee member can't attend a conference that's already been paid for and whatever. I talked to Mike and used his expertise from MASC, and he suggested, he thinks it should be a policy, because it should be something the board would make that decision on and not put you in the superintendent in the middle. And he found our policy on reimbursements for travel and conferences, and he wrote up just a little paragraph to put in the middle of that. And I just gave it to Dave. I think we should have a meeting maybe before the next school committee meeting and just see if we want to approve that.
Perhaps we could send this out in the packet. Send this out for, for
That's
basically,
fine, but it
for
won't, I
for
don't believe
policy.
it will be approved before the next school committee meeting.
No,
No,
no.
Okay.
no, it can't
No,
be.
no, but I mean, the members have to have it too if we decided to fast track it, or just let it run for another 2 months.
Yeah.
But at least we bring it up.
Whatever you decide, but I gave Dave the copy that I made, and
Do you want me to read that red section?
if you want to.
All right, Mike has several introductory paragraphs, then it goes on. School committee members shall be made aware of event attendance cancellation, that policy, and shall be responsible for expenses incurred by the district for cancellation when the district is unable to recoup expenses. In the case of true emergency, the committee may vote to override the member's responsibility. So it puts the responsibility back on the member and not the district if there's a no-show.
Right.
For not a good emergency reason or something.
Right,
So why don't we give this back to Lisa, and then we could send it out in the packet for next month?
okay,
Just have a quick question.
yes.
I don't really, I'm indifferent, I don't have, it doesn't really matter to me either way on, is there something that prompted this? Because it's not something that's overly common, that type of language and policies. I checked a few of the surrounding cities and nobody had it. So I'm just curious what
I've talked to a
prompted it.
lot of school committee members. Nobody has it. They all wish they did. And this goes way back to when I was on the Triton School Committee too. It was not uncommon for members to go or to make the reservations and go, and then just not show up or whatever. If there's a reason, obviously, if there's illness or death in the family or something like that, certainly the district would not look for compensation for that. But I just think maybe it puts a little bit of more mindfulness on the school committee member to, okay, the district paid for this, and yeah, it's a beautiful day, and I'd rather stay home and go play golf, but I need
Gotcha,
to do this.
Like I said, I
you
didn't
know?
have, I was just curious if there was
Yeah.
something that prompted it.
No,
'cause
I've been thinking about it for a long time, and, I just think, and if you don't want it, obviously, it's something the committee is gonna have to vote on. It's not a decision I will make. So, however you wanna handle it, when the time comes, that's what we'll do.
It does cite Mass General Laws, Chapter 40.5, so we can take a look at that too, the next new policy.
Did I give you the?
Are we gonna have a policy meeting?
Yeah, so I was suggesting we can schedule one next month,
We're really out
a
of
brief
order
meeting
right
prior
now.
to next month's meeting.
All right, when we get to the
Yep.
Yeah,
committees, we'll do that. Okay, thank you very much. We don't have Catherine tonight?
We do not, she's up today.
She's not injured again.
I don't believe so.
Okay.
She'll be going.
We need her help.
All right, now we have the superintendent's report. Ms. Lynch.
Thank you so much, Madam Chairwoman and members of the committee. Tonight, for informational purposes for you, I have hires of route bus drivers. I have the SAT Prep After School Program. I have the ELA Math MCAS retest After School Program. I have the co-op coordinator for the health area. I have an art advisor. I have the evening school program for the fall. And I have a JV boys soccer coach. There is no budget update at this time. Katrina Jensen, our coordinator of data assessment, will be doing an MCAS presentation this evening. On Thursday, September 12, 2019, I attended the DESI meeting on Madison Park with Commissioner Riley. There has been a small group of vocational superintendents working on an action plan to help Madison Park with their programs and their vocational programs and their academic programs, as well as really taking a hard look at their facility and their equipment. On Monday, September 23rd, I attended the North Shore Superintendent Roundtable Legislative Meeting in Danvers. At this meeting, we met with various state senators and representatives in the North Shore District to discuss proposed school funding bill. I think many of you probably have heard there's a new school funding bill. It seems that all schools will benefit from this proposed legislation, and the consensus among schools and the legislators is this is a good thing, and all schools will get something out of it. Of course, not as much as we all would like, but,
Is there a little wrinkle in that, Superintendent?
huh?
Within the last couple of days, there seems to be a wrinkle in the funding.
A little bit, because I think that was before the state senators got it, but now the state senators have had it, and I think they
Straightened it out.
voted, approved it, and now it's with the representatives. On Thursday, September 26th, I attended the Lynx Hope Dinner at the Sea Glass in Salisbury. This was a wonderful event that raised several $1,000s to help those with substance abuse issues. On Friday, September 27th, I attended the MAVA Board of Directors meeting in Marlborough. There continues to be much discussion regarding access to vocational programming and seats available in vocational schools. So there's an ongoing discussion about equity and making sure that students that have disabilities or students that English is not their first language, that they have access to our programs and are able to go through the admissions process. On Wednesday, October 2nd, I attended the Merrimack Valley Chamber of Commerce dinner at DeBarros along with Kara Cosmas. We again had the opportunity to see Governor Baker, an advocate for vocational education in the Commonwealth, and he's told me I love Whittier, so that's good. He does love it. On Thursday, October 3rd, Congresswoman Laurie Trahan visited Whittier Tech. We had a wonderful visit. Two of our Skilled USA students did the tour, Ryan Link and Lauren Fitzgerald. And this tour went on for about an hour, so we didn't get to hit all of the vocational programs, but we did get to look at the Allied Health Center. We looked at HVAC. We looked at advanced manufacturing, and I know many of you, we should probably plan a tour. We went down to metal fabrication and saw Mega Kitty, which is a steel wildcat. Many of you see the dog on 495. Well, I thought that was pretty cool, and I said, I wonder if they can make a wildcat. The next thing I know, it's made. So it's pretty exciting to see that. So it's almost done. I think it's gonna be part of the Haverhill Parade. So you'll be seeing a lot of what I call Mega Kitty.
will Mega Kitty have a home?
Mega Kitty will go out by the football field, yes. I should say by the turf field. It's not just about football anymore.
No.
On Friday, October 4th, I attended.
All-purpose field.
Yes, all-purpose field. I attended the 2019 Special Education Summit in Peabody, presented by Lyons and Rogers. This was a review of new special education laws, new school discipline laws, new case law, and it was really an update to, new trends in school issues. On Monday, October 7th, I attended the Marvis officer meeting in Malden. Again, the commissioner's looking at access of vocational schools by sending districts. And my role as MAVA officer, we've been really involved in this process and working with school districts to make sure that, we are serving all students. On Tuesday, October 10th, I attended the Merrimack Valley Superintendent's Association meeting at the Lanham Club in Andover. At the meeting, Carla Bear from DESE presented about strategic planning. So as many of you walked in today, you saw that we are almost complete with our turf field. I'm looking for Mr. Early because there's a difference between complete and substantially complete. So,
Good choice of words.
thank you. I was looking for your help. I was at a loss there for a minute. So Friday, October 18th, we're looking to have the field, a ribbon cutting at 7 o'clock. You are more than welcome. And I would actually really appreciate you being there because it's because of your support through this process that we're able to make it happen. We're hoping Friday, October 18th. We do need to have a hard frost because of the triple E concern.
7 o'clock at night.
7 o'clock at night. If not, it will be Saturday, October 19th at 10 a.m. So those are our very exciting. It looked like everything started to light up today. It's all kind of coming together. So we're really looking forward to our kids being able to have a state-of-the-art athletic field. So also today, I would like to request approval for an overnight Skills USA field trip for a leadership conference, and we have 16 students that will be attending this field trip.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed or abstentions? No? Hearing none? You have it.
All right, thank you.
When is the date of that, Maureen?
The date of that is, I'm off kilter here because Mr. Early didn't
Yeah.
say.
You didn't speak
We have the
up. We're
proper
waiting.
paperwork.
November 24th through
Yeah.
November 26th.
Yeah.
Do we have the proper paperwork?
I'm waiting.
Well, thank
We're
you.
waiting a dollar
I feel
short.
so much better.
All's right with the world.
Thank you.
I took your temperature. You were steaming.
And that's all I have for you
What was
tonight.
the, what was the alternate date for the ribbon cutting?
So the ribbon cutting will be either Friday or Saturday.
And what was the timing on Saturday?
Saturday is 10 a.m.
Will that be on the website, Maureen?
I will put it on the website, and I will actually reach out through email to let you all know the time, what the final day and time is.
Okay.
Let's hope for some cold weather.
I'll be at the White House.
Will rain.
No, we need frost.
Get a dome.
That's all I have.
I'm glad it's not this weekend.
I have
Okay.
a quick question.
Yes.
You're gonna invite all the dignitaries?
So on this one, I feel like this is the school committee, and I've asked Coach Bradley to have 2 students from each of the fall sports be there for the ribbon cutting.
The only reason why I say that, all these communities, they're the ones that put the money up. Thank you.
Yep.
All right. We'll move on to vocational technical coordinator, Ms. DeSalvo. Is she here? Yes, she is, right in front of me.
Madam Chair, I have one
Yes.
quick question. On the new hires, said they hired the 7 electrical, are they all teachers?
So our evening school program has, I think we have 150 more students this year than we had last year. So we have had to really double time to try to find instructors, so
That's
yes,
a good thing,
it's a good thing.
yeah.
It's a good thing.
So it's the electrical that's really the biggest growth, or
Electrical-
all of them?
electrical
And
and
plumbing. Yeah.
The trades,
Smart kids.
Well, this is evening school,
Yep, smart kids.
the adults.
Huh? Or recent Whittier graduates.
Okay.
That's great.
Ms. DeSalvo, are you ready?
I am ready. Good evening, Madam Chairperson, members of the school committee, Superintendent Lynch. Bev DeSalvo, the vocational technical update. So the 2018 Capital Skills Grant is now complete, with the Allied Health Center being totally finished in December of 2018. And the DESE approved dental assisting in June of 19. So that grant and project is closed. Just for your information, the new dental assisting program has 15 sophomores right now and 22 juniors and seniors. So we're already busting at the seams in dental assisting. And as Maureen said earlier, Congresswoman Laurie Trahan got an opportunity to tour that area last week, and it was very exciting for us. Capital Skills Grant 2019, we were just released $420,000. HVAC was awarded to update equipment and renovation of existing space. We are working diligently on that, and hopefully we'll have that wrapped up for presentation by the end of the year, and then the whole grant by June. Ms. Fay just also submitted on September 26th a capital skills grant for FY20 for $500,000 for state-of-the-art equipment for drafting and electronics robotics. So we have been very lucky with the competitive grants, and we're taking advantage of every opportunity that's given us.
Did we get that second grant?
The HVAC, we did, yes.
No, for the drafting and electronics.
We will know shortly.
Okay.
It was just submitted in September.
You need another zero there, by the way.
What's that?
You need another zero on that.
It's there now.
What?
It's there now.
It's there. The Whittier YMCA Early Education and Care Center opened with the start of school. The YMCA had a ribbon cutting last week. As you all know, it gives opportunities for our early education and care students to work and observe a program in our own building, which is very exciting. And the enrollment continues to go up each week with more and more exposure to the community. The cooperative education update, as of October 1st, we had 130 seniors working in their trade, or 41% of the class. And we also submitted the one-year follow-up survey for the class of 2018, and 92% of the students, we had a positive placement rate. So that's what's going on as of right now.
Excuse me.
Any
I have a question, Bev. On what you consider a positive placement rate, does that include the students who have gone on to post-secondary education?
Yes, 2
That's
four-year
considered-
colleges, yep, technical programs
Yeah.
are working in their trade, or
Okay.
military,
Okay, thank you.
That was my question, the military included in that number?
yes.
Now, this other 8%, were
Could
they
be-
just floundering, or?
No, it could be from not responding to the, or some kids aren't working in their trade area, have gone on to,
That's actually a high,
Thanks, yeah.
that's a high return rate.
it's very consistent. We've stayed consistent over the years with between 92, 93, 91, 94, which is an excellent. We haven't had to write any corrective action plans. We have a consistent positive rate for all of our 23 programs.
Great job.
Yes, thank you.
Wonderful, thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much.
I just wanted to say too,
Paul?
I'm very impressed.
Yeah.
Very good numbers.
And now we have Katrina Jensen, Coordinator of Data and Assessment. Ms. Jensen.
Good evening, Madam Chairwoman, Superintendent Lynch, and school committee members. Tonight, I am going to give you our MCAS results and accountability. So MCAS 2.0 happened for the first time at Whittier Tech last spring. All high schools had to give the new test on a technology device. So we did that in English and in math for all sophomores. Our students took the test on iPads. They also came up with new performance levels, so you won't really be hearing the words advanced or failing anymore. There's exceeds the requirement, meets the requirement, partially meets the requirement, and does not meet the requirement.
Which makes sense.
Yep. And meets the requirement is the new gold standard. And they moved it up to what would be comparable to the old advanced category. The state said they did a bunch of studies over the last few years, and students that were performing in the proficient category, when they went on to college, were not completing college classes successfully without remediation. So now they feel, since they've raised the bar, if you get meets or exceeds the requirement, you are on track, if you choose to go to college, to successfully complete a college class without remediation.
If meets is gold, what's exceeds, platinum?
Yes.
Sure, yeah.
That's correct.
Yeah. It's in quotes because I took that from the webinar Maureen and I did. Yes. So this is how our English language arts results came out. 96% of the now juniors passed the MCAS requirement. 45% met the requirement and 1% exceeded the requirement. How did we compare to the state? All students, we beat the state by 4%. For special
State average.
State average, yes. For special education by 9%, and for the economically disadvantaged students by 12%.
Excellent.
Comparing 8th grade to 10th grade, because these kids took the 2.0 in 8th grade, we increased our meets by 12% and decreased the not meeting by 6.5%. Moving to math, 97% of our juniors have passed the math MCAS requirement. Again, 45% were in the meets category and 5% in the exceeds. Comparing to the state average, all students, we were 6% better. For special education, 17%, and for economically disadvantaged, another 17%.
When you say 6% above, is that students percent or scores?
Like percentage students.
Percent of students?
Yes. The score, I'm sorry, the scores.
Scores.
Because the state has, you know, I don't know, 100,000 or something sophomores that took it. It's the scores.
So if the state says 450,
So if we, so for example, if we had 3% that didn't meet, the state had an additional 6, so they were at 9% that didn't meet
Okay,
as a
all
state average.
I get it.
Then again, I compared the math. So here, 10% we increased on our meets and a 9% decreasing from when students came here that they were not meeting the standard. Science and technology. This was the last paper test for science and technology. So these students did not take it on the iPad. This is the last time this will happen. This coming spring in June of 2020, these kids will take a new MCAS 2.0 in science on the iPad. We also tested 2 grades worth of kids because we are transitioning to only offer grade 9 in biology. So the bars you want to look at are 2021 and 2022. Those are our 2 groups that we tested, and statistically they got exactly the same score. So these kids will now benefit, these freshmen, from taking 4 science classes at Whittier instead of 3. They will get 4 full science classes. Again, I compared to the state, so we were even with the state average. Our special education population was 4% above, and our economically disadvantaged was 5% above. This next one, I have 2 graphs because we did have the 2 groups testing. So this first one is 8th to 10th. They had a 19% increase in the advanced and a 15% decrease in the failing. And again, I just want to point out, these are the last time you'll see these words for an MCAS because these kids will transition to the new performance levels in June. This is 8th to 9th, because again, we had the 9th graders also take it. They also had a 19% increase in advanced and a 23% decrease from the failing. Where do we stand right now for the senior class? 99.7% of the students have met the MCAS requirement and qualify for a high school diploma. And in the junior class, 93%.
Excellent.
Accountability, this is the second year that they've done this. They changed the indicators to achievement, growth, high school completion, and additional indicators. We do not require assistance or intervention. We have made substantial progress toward our targets. And I'll just point out our absenteeism, we got a 4 out of 4. In our advanced coursework, we also got a 4 out of 4. And that's it.
4 out of 4 is good.
Yes, yes, 4 is the top, yes.
What are the 4 criteria that you?
It's actually, each score is out of, pretty much out of 4, but it goes by the percentage of students that we have that are absent chronically.
So we're doing very well.
Correct, yes, yes, students are coming to Whittier Tech.
Yes, they are.
Yes, students are coming to Whittier Tech.
343 of them was said. Wow. Anybody, any more questions?
Yeah, just a quick question. Has the state sent out example tests that they might be using in the, with the new iPads? In other words,
Like
going to
sample
the new
questions?
system? Yeah, just, examples
So
of what.
they gave out a few last year. Most of them were 8th grade questions they released. We had a few 10th grade, but now we did get the released ones that the kids took last year so that we can use those going forward this year.
All right, thank you.
Yep,
So there was the pass versus the meets.
yes.
So it's partially met pass
Exactly.
as well, so it's really more of
Exactly,
their
so-
preparation for college.
Exactly, great question. So we did obviously have a large percentage in the partially meets. So we're looking at it, from a curriculum standpoint on where we need to go, but as far as the kids go, the state needed to kind of compare to the old rubric. So those kids would have gotten proficient on the old test, so they have met the MCAS requirement.
So is meets now the absolute requirement though? So
Going
meets-
forward, they're gonna transition, they said the class of 2021 and 2, definitely. And then they'll see where we are with 2023, if they're just gonna stop comparing to the old, or they're just gonna stick with the new. So this sophomore class also, they will still use the old rubric when they're doing who gets a competence determination and things like that. Yeah?
Charlie?
With the change in the format, is there a change in the curriculum?
Yes, yes. We, if you remember, we changed our math sequence 2 or 3 years ago. The past sophomore class, this current juniors, were the first ones to go through our new freshman and sophomore curriculum. So we do Algebra 1 geometry and Algebra 2 in 2 years.
Any more?
Enhanced.
Yes, because the Algebra 2, there's a lot of higher order thinking questions, and they definitely need that.
Any more questions? Katrina, thank you very much.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. I love all this good news. Okay, our Director of Pupil Personnel, Ms. Lowell. You have good news too, I hope.
Yes,
Excellent.
I don't trip. Okay, good evening, Madam Chair, members of the committee, and Superintendent Lynch. In your packet, you have received the district's October 1 census report. I've also included a comparison of the enrollment data to last year for your information, and I'm happy to answer any questions you might have.
How come Merrimack went down?
I'm not sure. Yes.
I'm impressed that Havel went up to 39. However, other than 3 towns, all the others, including Merrimack, is there a trend or? Did they
We
go
always
down?
look at enrollments, as rising classes rise, and there's definitely a decline in enrollment in some of our surrounding communities, so,
That's a
you know,
large
we
amount,
always-
10 out of 12. That's a lot. Never, I don't think we've ever had that like that, a decrease like that. That many towns.
I'd have to go back and look.
I can't remember.
Yeah.
And I pretty much watch that all the time. Thank you.
Yeah, I think one thing also might be the demographics. Although we're building houses or condos or units of housing in Merrimack, it's an older crowd that's buying them because of these semi-attached, condo
Right.
villas.
Yeah, school age enrollment
And so you don't
is
see a lot of
definitely
kids coming out of
declining.
that.
I believe we had a presentation last year about the declining school age enrollment of many of our communities. So, you know, a decrease or an increase of anything less than 5, I think is not
Don't worry, Havel took
significant,
care of it
but-
for everybody.
But Havel had a
Yeah, it
significant
certainly
did.
rise, which
You're welcome.
definitely helped the overall.
Superintendent's a little sad over there, but we'll get over it.
I'm not. I love my Haverhill kids. I think, though, it is important to note what Patty just said, that the demographics in this area, school-age children, is down significantly, and the only place that it is up is in Haverhill, and that is showing in our October census, so.
Yes.
So, my understanding is that with the 352, that, I can think there were more that were accepted but didn't come in, that there was a waiting list also.
Yes, we did have to institute a waiting list because I believe we had accepted 429, I want to say, over the course of the spring and summer. And we had, as we were entering close to the school year, we had almost 370 students who had accepted enrollment. And that's a really large number for us to accommodate. And fortunately, by the beginning of the year, that number had gone down. And, you know, students, we always kind of see the number of people coming and going through the summer, but it did shake out to be 352, which is definitely a number we can accommodate. But we did have to eventually, when we were hitting 370, say, wait a minute, we have to.
I mean, just to follow up on that.
Dick,
Oh,
I'm
excuse me.
sorry.
Dick had his hand up
I have a
first.
quick
I'm sorry,
question.
Charlie.
Yeah.
And I had another question about this today from a parent. There's a waiting list, and those are the people that qualified to get in.
Yes.
What about the people that were borderline, that went to the high school? They had to correct a couple things, whether it be attendance, behavior. How's that gonna work out for those people, yet the people that are on the waiting list, how do you determine it?
Perfect.
Well, go ahead.
Well, we have a new admission policy that was accepted by the committee over this, at the end of the summer. And in that new admission policy, there is no cutoff score for acceptance or denial. Everybody is rank ordered. So everybody is equal in the end,
How
starting
about, what if
forward.
there's 12
So
people?
if there's, we will have to look at our enrollment and how many seats we have available, and we will, every student is eligible to reapply for our mid-year grade 9 admissions. We have rolling admissions for transfer vocational Chapter 74 students.
Roughly how many are on this waiting list? Roughly, I don't need to know.
Well,
exactly.
we don't have a waiting list
Okay,
anymore because
okay.
now we've started a new admission cycle.
Mhm.
So anybody who applies between December and
qualify
February,
equal.
it's,
Okay.
it's all the same. It's
all
a new
that.
admission cycle
That's
now,
what I'm
under
asking.
the new policy too,
Thank you.
which allows everybody.
And I think at the end of the day, a class of 350 needs to be our top. Because you would think that would be 1,400 kids. That would really be at the maximum that we could ever handle. We have a small junior class, but if you notice, the freshman and sophomore classes are both very large. So, you know, that's what we have to start internally looking at is the number of seats available we'll have for next year's 8th graders coming into 9th grade.
Yeah.
So this December, the December cutoff, when they send you the report cards, which there, like 3, maybe 5 extra seats could be available because
Could
you're
be.
right at your max. right
We are
now.
at our max.
That's what I'm
So
saying.
by January, if we have students that have withdrawn or for whatever reason have left, we'll take a look at
That's what you're
that.
basically looking at.
350.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Oh, Charlie, I'm
Excuse me.
sorry.
That's all right.
I was trying to fix
So,
my.
you feel that this 350 acceptance, if this continues, even with the 3 grades above that having less than that, we can still have the spaces for 350
Right, because you're
across-
looking at a freshman class, a sophomore class, so you're looking at the size of your classrooms in the 9th grade.
Okay.
So,
So, in 3 years, we could have 350 students in every grade.
Yes. Yes.
1,400 students.
I think that's definitely something that the board needs to
Look at.
consider
Yeah.
of what our overall enrollment can be.
Yeah, and our capacity in our school.
When we-
What is the fire capacity?
Right, when
per
we
amount of
established
students
the
in
three hundred
building?
and fifty, that was based on those numbers in the upper class
Right.
levels. So we have to consider that moving forward.
I've been asking that question for 25 years.
Dick, do you have another one?
I hate to keep beating this, but are we at 350 or 352 at the October? Has that gone down to 350 or is it at 352 right now?
It's on. You know what, it might be
I think I
351.
had one student move, but I can't remember if he was a freshman or a sophomore, so.
It changes,
It's
it
352.
changes almost weekly, daily, you
Yeah.
know?
So what are you basically
So-
thinking? Went 351 or 352 when you're trying to come up with these?
352 and up.
Okay.
Oh, when we
When
look
you
at
come up
the
with these
December
numbers, yeah.
enrollment,
Yeah.
I'll meet with Ms. Lynch and we'll review how many students we have enrolled at that time.
Thank you.
Yes.
Patty, in regard to the upcoming enrollment cycle, obviously, we had a waiting list, we no longer have a waiting list, but we still had, let's say, 25 students that were eligible. And then new students may be interested, so that would add to it. Do we do anything in regard to notifying the guidance counselors that any of those students who were on a waiting list need to reapply? Not just to send in their new transcript, but they have to go through the application process. It would be,
Yes, that procedure hasn't changed.
okay.
So students always had to reapply.
All right.
It wasn't a carryover. They always reapplied at the mid-year admission cycle. And yes, we just had a guidance counselor meeting last week. Yeah, and met with the area guidance counselors to review the new policy. Because especially now where there is a new policy and there were changes in scoring, how they're being scored, we wanted to make sure everybody knew about that and that their application will be scored differently this time when they apply, and that there is no cutoff score.
Chip, do you still have a question?
I didn't have a question.
Oh, Gary, I'm sorry.
What, with these numbers, how's that gonna impact the shop areas in the future? Say freshmen going into electrical.
I don't-
I'll answer that.
Yes.
It is a concern, you know, and especially as we're looking at a renovation. And when we're looking at a renovation in HVAC, we're opening up the space a bit more to accommodate more students. Those are kind of the decisions that we're making. When Bev spoke about dental assisting, that is a growing program. I might be coming to you next year saying I need to have another dental assisting teacher because there's such a need. So, yeah, I might be coming to you about another English teacher because our enrollment has grown so much. So those are some of the things, those moving parts that will continue to be moving until we sort of level off about what our actual number here at the school, what our maximum capacity at the school will be. So,
So it's life in a school, frankly.
it's moving.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dick, no.
One other quick, and I appreciate all these questions that everybody has, but what if the person from another tech school moves to Haverhill as a new student, already at another technical school? How does that weigh in right now?
So, we just had that situation, a student applied as a transfer student.
I just heard it,
So
that's why.
they're rolling admissions, they're always eligible to apply, because of the continuity of their education. So they applied and were scored under the new admission policy, and so they're as eligible as any other
So
student.
they're in?
I can't speak to an individual
Okay,
student,
okay,
but.
all right. No, I'm saying
Yeah.
in
In general,
That
yes.
person would be in, okay.
Yeah.
The reason why I asked that, we keep talking about 350, 352, but we've got a lot of other classes that are considerably below that. And I know you're looking at what the average is, but if you think of the average over the 4 years, how does that work?
Again, it's all moving parts. It changes daily.
Yes.
Of course, our enrollment changes daily. Of
That's what I'm
course, we
saying.
want as many students as possible
Yeah, no,
to
no.
benefit from vocational education. And so, you know, we'll look at January admissions, we'll see how many spots we have available. For those students that maybe were not accepted or were on the wait list, we would encourage them to apply in January. Not making any promises that we'll have the space at that time, but we will definitely be, looking for that and to make sure that we're at the capacity that we can be here at
See, the
Whittier.
reason why I keep asking these questions, everything's a gray area. Nobody
Because it's all
has- Nobody
moving.
has the answer because of all these moving parts. So when the people in the district hear this, they don't know any more now than they did before they watched it.
Mm-hmm.
As well as the school doesn't know either. So,
Is it safe to say, though, that the school and the school committee is working towards coming up with the best number available for that freshman class coming in, and then we're trying to maintain that to be
Right.
consistent throughout all 4 years?
Right.
So we end up with a total maximum number
Right.
that the school can handle?
Right. And again, that's moving too, some years you get more our demographics in our area has really changed in the last 5 years. So it's always going to be, a moving part that we just need to be aware of, and try to make sure that as many students that want to benefit from a vocational education are able to benefit from a vocational education.
Yeah, I just wanted to address Dick's concern in regard to the transfers. We know that seniors and juniors and sophomores, we haven't got 350 in those classes.
Correct.
So generally, I'm not Patty,
In
but
most
generally,
cases.
most cases, those students are almost automatically accepted due to the fact that they've been in vocational programs. And we're now their new district, and we would hopefully have the same available trade areas, et cetera. So that it's not, it's very, very, very positive for them to come into our district if it's a legitimate transfer.
thank you.
David?
Superintendent, how complicated is the state formula for vocational occupancy rate? You have to go by workstations or by the size of the school or square footage, or?
It really ends up being a part of our occupancy permit here at the school, how many
So it's
students
a
we can.
multifaceted formula?
Yes, again, there's so many moving parts, I wish I could answer Dick's questions yes or no, and this is exact, but it's non-exact science. And last year, we had 370 freshmen we thought were showing up at the front door. Next year, we could have 270. So it's variables that we're aware of, that we just need to pay attention, but,
But there is technically a cutoff. The state requires you don't go above that.
yes. We need to,
Total.
yes, we need to have a seats available number, and that's something we're working on.
I have a question, and it's probably for Maureen, I apologize, Patty.
That's okay.
But if we should get accepted into the school building assistance program, does our plan include making a larger capacity for students here?
That would be what I would like to do, but that's what the feasibility study is for. So the
Okay.
feasibility
Oh, that
study
has-
would be looking at the school district, looking at our footprint, looking at whether we can expand our footprint or not, and to see as to whether we can take in more students. I mean, again, I would love to take every student that applied, if they're truly interested in vocational education. Isn't that the goal? But, we're at capacity right now for the freshman class, and moving forward, what does that look like?
Okay, thank you. Dick?
That's a great question, because they just built a new school in Havel that everybody knows about, and I believe it's already 100 or 200 kids over capacity. It opened 2 years ago. So, depends how you look at it. There's an answer for all those questions that people are coming up with. And I don't know if it's right, wrong, or indifferent, but the numbers are the numbers.
Depends on the day.
I want to commend everybody on this, because this is a very tough issue that's been going on I've been on here for almost 20 years. I don't know any more now about it as I did 20 years ago, but we are progressing and going forward, because look at the numbers, and everybody else is declining. Total students, ours are going up. So you should be proud of it.
Well, I think you have to remember too, in the past, until the last 4 or 5 years, we always had about 75 choice students. All of the students in our school right now are in-district students.
Choice isn't
from our
a great
11
word right now.
Cities or communities, so I'm really proud of that work. I really have to congratulate Patty Lowell and the guidance team and all their hard work and the recruitment as far as going to do all the interviews and meeting with students and meeting with parents and doing tours. It's a considerable amount of work, but I'm really grateful to them and for their work, so thank you.
Great
Yeah,
job.
Thank you.
So,
Anybody else have any more questions for Patty?
I'm all done asking.
Okay. Patty, thank you
Thank you.
very much. Okay, now, one
This is a
one more
hard
time,
act to
Chris?
follow.
Legsy.
I got some easy stuff.
Listen, Mr. Principal, this is
It's
a
all about
hard
the
act
kids
to
that are
follow
here.
with that young lady just went through. You know. Good job.
Good evening, Madam Chair, Superintendent Lynch, that just stepped out on me, and rest of the school committee members. Next week is our Spirit Week, so we have the long weekend, but it starts on Tuesday, October 15th, starting Tuesday, and then ending with a pep rally on Friday. We're hoping Mother Nature cooperates with us, so we can go outside and the new field and all the fun stuff. So each day, the different themes. We're gonna have Crazy Hat Day, Squad Day, which is Twin Day, where you dress up, maybe your favorite sports teams or on a team. Decade Day, it's interesting, 80s, 90s, maybe for me. Class colors on Friday, and then the pep rally, like I said. During the Spirit Week, the classes will compete each day to see the costumes. They'll get, different points for that. And then, obviously, the showcase will be hopefully Friday outdoors with our athletic director, Kevin Bradley, on the mic. And the showcase is going to be our new field and the Jumbotron, thanks to everyone here. So it'll be an exciting time. Very nerve-wracking, Superintendent Lynch, we'll take care of it, don't worry. But I also thank the student government advisors, and Chris LaCroix and Maggie McDonald, and the student advisors and the APs for planning this week. So knock on wood, hopefully we'll have a good one and the weather will cooperate. Open house, just some dates. Open house is coming up. There's some wow factors out there that I've let Ms. Lynch talk about at some point. But November 3rd is the date from 1 to 4. November 3rd, so you pencil that in. Invitations are going out. The guidance department is also, they're hosting the college fair on October 17th, on Thursday, during the lunches, once again, that's grades 11 and 12. And then the PSATs are Wednesday, October 16th. So that's all happening. Last night, as we say, that we continue, it's our commitment to the safety of our students and staff through ongoing monitoring, safety procedures and protocols. And Tuesday night, which last night, we held the Parent Safety Night. I thank all the parents that showed up. I remember doing this 2-3 years ago, and maybe 2 parents showed up. We had about 30 or so parents showed up, so it was a great night. We talked about the ALICE protocols, new vaping issues that are out there, updating issues, and presentation from, and I thank the Haverhill Police, they were absolutely amazing, our SRO, Officer Conley, and Sergeant Lynch, who's a drug recognition expert, and also Officer Conley, our SRO, talked about social media responsibility. And the parents were really involved. It was an interactive night of question and answering, so it was a night. And I also thank the APs. I thank Roxanne Grover, our phys ed health teacher, cluster, and also Katie Parsons, who was there, Rich Gonzalez, who helped us out in our safety team, and the assistant principals, Trish Fleming, as well as Adam Gagney, that showed up last night. But it was very nice. It was interactive with the parents, and obviously these are the real hot topics that are out there. Today we had an assembly for the freshmen. We will continue with the ALICE drills. And again, hopefully Mother Nature will help me out in the next few weeks. We're going to do an all-out ALICE drill with the kids this time. We did it with the staff, but we're going to do it with the kids and the staff. And similar type of training we had with the staff. So that's where we're at. Any questions? All right.
I have one little question, silly, but
Yeah.
Spirit Week, do the staff get involved with these
They do. Yeah.
Crazy Hat Day
The
and
staff do, yeah.
dress
and,
up for their favorite sports
yes,
team and
yeah,
stuff?
It's kind of funny, but they do. They get involved, and like we
Yeah.
said, the culture is absolutely positive, as Mr. James knows, and being here for many years, but the staff does get involved. I assured Ms. Lynch that we'll be at the doors, making sure none of those crazy hats are crazy over the top, but we'll take care of it. No, the kids are awesome. As you know, the students that make up this school as well as the staff. The culture is absolutely positive, so we have fun. All of us have fun together.
That's awesome. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Any further questions for Chris? No?
All
Okay.
right, thank you. Have a great night.
Thank you. Ms. Cosmas, our business manager, step right up.
Good evening, Madam Chairwoman, Superintendent Lynch, members of the committee. I have a few things for your consideration this evening. First of all, it's October, so that means it's the review of the 5-year capital plan, which is in your packet. This document serves as a planning document, and we update it each year to project what the district's capital needs might be over a 5-year period. We also use it in budget development process. Just for your record, and as you know, we've already submitted a statement of interest, the 5th one, with Massachusetts State Building Authority. And so therefore, if our request is accepted, many of the infrastructure items that have been noted on the 5-year capital plan will be addressed in that. So we continue to remain hopeful that we will get good news for that, because some of the items on the list could be very costly without state assistance. So we will continue to put those requests in for as long as it takes. As Ms. DeSalvo said earlier, we have been very fortunate in that many of our capital needs have been funded through Mass Skills capital grants, and to date, we have received well over $1 million in state funding that has assisted us with improvements to the areas and additions to the piece of equipment. But as always, as she also mentioned, we will continue to pursue those grants, and we will continue to pursue other alternate funding sources to assist with our capital needs. Are there any questions on the 5-year capital plan? Mr. Early?
Quick. I'm impressed that you're looking at the future of our buses, which we've talked about for many, many years. And the numbers seem to be working on the ratio you're using, owning versus leasing.
Yes. Yes. The first time they did it, they weren't sure about the mileage.
Right, correct.
And the bus transportation
That's
coordinator
leveled right
has
off.
been very, very good in looking at the mileage and rotating the buses to keep the
So it's
mileage.
working.
So we weren't even close to the mileage
Now,
allowance.
the snow removal, what is this?
The snow removal system is something, it's in the south lot. It is something that the buses can drive through, and it basically
Cleans.
wipes all of the snow right off of it. Right now, we have to have people come in and spend hours moving and cleaning the buses so that areas can be plowed
When
and the
was the last
buses are
time
ready.
we updated it,
This is the first time we've bought this system, so I
the
think...
new system?
Yeah, they're going to be trained on it in a couple of weeks, and we hope it will save a lot of time and keep our buses much safer because they'll be cleaner without a lot of snow and other things on them.
Thank you.
Ms. Testaverde, Dr. Testaverde?
I have a question that is related to the capital gain, but also related to the building fund. Do they take into consideration how much we've got in grants when they're looking at considering the building application?
It's a gray area too.
I've never heard that.
Yeah. Again, it goes back to what I recently, Kara told me today, that there has been a bump up of about, what, 25?
$150 million.
$150 million that MSBA will have this year. So they have jumped up because there are so many schools, all built about the same time, 1970, 1975, and we're all struggling to try to maintain. And I think what happens here, because we're able to do some of our own work and able to do some of our own, we have a great maintenance department that's been able to really make sure that this building looks great, that sometimes we're not looked at as far, the building's not falling down around us. So, we're very hopeful. I know Amesbury last night passed a new school building in Amesbury last night, so that's great news. But there are many communities around us. Pentucket just passed a new high school this year. So, we're all in the same boat with our school districts.
I think it's very exciting and impressive that we have received, over $1 million in grants. It's fabulous, and it certainly helps us day to day and continue to improve programming. I just didn't know whether it came in consideration when they're talking about our building program, whether they say, well, we just gave you $500,000 to renovate this, or $400,000 to renovate that.
I think it's important to know that whatever renovations we have done, we've kept in the back of our mind that we'll eventually be trying to get a renovation here, so we won't have to do it twice, because that would be a misuse of taxpayer funds.
Right.
So what we're really trying to do is be really thoughtful about what we're doing and making sure that we do it once and it lasts 30 or 40 years, not that we would redo it when we get into the pipeline, hopefully. And that's sort of been our thought process as we've been working through some of these programs.
When they're talking with us and visiting, we say that this is an area we would not be dealing with in consideration for the renovation.
One of the key things that we were recently told by the building inspector is that he wasn't going to approve any more renovations for us until we had a sprinkler system. So we're kind of done after this. So we've also made sure that that was put into our feasibility, our issue, our
Statement of interest.
statement of interest.
Yeah.
To make sure that that was put in there as well. So we're trying, every avenue. I mean, we cannot put a sprinkler system in this building without state assistance. We just can't. You're looking at least $3 or $4 million to do that alone.
Just to follow up on what Ms. Lynch said also, most of these grants were probably 70 to 85% for equipment and not renovations.
Right.
So the equipment would not be something that would adversely affect us.
Thank you.
Dick?
We should be proud of the building we have, 40, 50 years old, whatever it may be. But, you look at it and say, it's not handicap accessible, you've gotta go through the library, I think, and walk through the other place. In the past administration we had for the representatives, we were close. We don't know how close we were, because every time we get close, these others are getting worse and worse. So we're pretty proud of what we have. We gotta play the cards we're dealt, but eventually we're going to get it. Just don't know when. And I wanna commend everybody that's involved in that. I mean, from the superintendent all the way down to the people that work in the cafeteria. I mean, it's a team effort here. Thank you.
Charlie?
Hypothetically, if we had to do a renovation for need, that would be considered, once we get on the list, is that reimbursable?
No, not necessarily.
No, in fact, you cannot even do a feasibility study on your own unless you are in the pipeline. They'll make you redo it again. So even if we were to do our own feasibility study, it would be a waste of money. Because it would eventually, if we get in the pipeline, would have to do it over again.
Like, for example, when we had to replace the underground electrical supply, granted, in the feasibility study, that would be on the list. But now this is brand new. That you can't reimburse them, right?
Right.
We did a building study a few years ago to give us the
Right.
map for submitting the statement of interest, but again, it was mostly on things that they could see.
Right.
It wasn't about need, it was about the facility and its age. Any other questions?
I'm all set.
Okay, in your packet, you have the 3-month variance analysis, and as we've been talking about tonight, you see a lot of colors there, and that is because there has been a lot of movement, because we've had a lot of changes with enrollments and things like that. One thing I did want to point out, and I will be bringing transfers to you in the future, is one of the things that we deliberately looked at this year was our grants. And I don't know, for those of you who aren't that familiar with grants, when you put a teacher in a grant, you are required to also commit 9% of that teacher's salary to allocate to mass teachers' retirement. It's just a regulation that has to do with federal and state grants. So in speaking with Dr. Fay and Ms. Lowell and Ms. Lynch this year, we deliberately looked at things to move into the grants that were not subject to the 9% in order to maximize the revenues that we were getting from the grants. So why you see a lot of the colors in salary is we put a lot of aides and tutors into the grants. We took teachers out and put them back into the district. We kind of swapped things. We put a lot of special education costs like tuition and contracted services into the grants. And again, we moved teachers back. So things are still settling out and people are still turning in credits. So once everything settles out, I will bring forward a transfer to align some of those accounts. So I don't know if anybody has any questions, but that's basically about it.
A quick one.
Sure.
On coaches. 205, expected 0.
We haven't paid them yet.
Oh,
The coaches don't get
You don't
encumbered
encumber
because
those?
we don't know who we're hiring, and they get encumbered as the year goes on.
As the year goes on,
Yeah.
okay, all right.
Anything else?
Any other questions?
Okay, thank you. And then the last, you may have remembered at the last audit presentation, the student activity account is also something that's audited as part of the annual audit. And they take a look at the accounts and they look to see if any accounts have not been used in a number of years. And so they recommend that any inactive accounts be closed and if possible, transfer to a fund that's kind of similar in nature. So one of the ones that has not been used in several years is an account that was called Students Against Destructive Decisions. I spoke to Ms. Grover about that, and we agreed that it was very similar in nature to the peer-to-peer account. So I am requesting approval from you to take the balance of $1,029.80 and transfer it from the Students Against Destructive Decisions account and move it to the peer-to-peer student activity account.
Make a motion to transfer.
Second.
Any discussion on that? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed? None?
That's all I have. Thank you very
There
much.
you go. So that account will be closed, right?
That account will be closed, but the money will move over to peer-to-peer, so the money's not
Right.
gone.
Right. But that account won't show up anymore?
It won't show up anymore.
Okay. Thank you very much. We're going on to, I'm next. The November annual agenda items. We are going to have a review of the curriculum, the collective bargaining contracts, and a review and update of the technology plan. So be prepared.
We did tonight.
Subcommittee reports. What?
Did we just not do the curriculum? Is it something different than what we just did today? It is?
Yeah.
It's something different. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, subcommittee reports, executive, that would be me, and we have not met. We don't need to, okay. Instructional personnel,
We just met this evening, and we were given updates in all of the areas, curriculum, data assessment, vocational, and the coordinators have presented the information which we received to you as well, and I think everything is in order for the moment.
very good.
Ms. Lynch, anything else that we need to do?
thank
We're in order.
We elected in a chair.
Oh, and we elected a new chair. Oh, yeah.
Who's the new chair?
I am.
Oh,
I'm the same chair.
that's what I thought, okay. All right, plant operations, Mr. Tucker.
I'd like to move the acceptance of meeting minutes for September 11th.
Second.
Any discussion on those minutes? Nope, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, seeing nobody. Okay. Salary and negotiations, Mr. Early.
We haven't met.
We haven't had a meeting.
We
I
haven't
know.
had a meeting, okay. Policy, Mr. Irving.
Well, we had brought up a situation brought into us by MCAS, so I think, not MCAS, but MAC,
MASC.
MASC, so we should probably meet next month. What do you think, 15 minutes or half hour ahead?
15 minutes should do it.
All right, so 6:15,
Sure,
the next meeting night.
yeah. And that would be November 13th.
Yeah.
Okay.
11/13 at 6:15, right?
Oh, yeah, can I just say one thing?
If we
Sure.
could send that out to everyone.
I'm sorry I didn't mention this in my report, but I want to remind everyone that November 3rd, I can't believe we're talking about November, but November 3rd is our open house. I asked a few teachers for a wow factor, and boy, have they delivered. Actually makes me nervous. They built a lighthouse, and actually, if you'd like to see it, it's in the lobby right now. They're working on it. It's going to be amazing. So it's about 3 weeks away, and it's built, and it's just amazing. And then we also will have Mega Kitty available for people to see.
There's a picture of Mega Kitty in
Yeah,
there.
there's a lot of wow going on around here. But I just want to remind you that, we'd love to see you for open house if you're available. And would like to come down and see all the great things that our teachers are doing.
That's awesome. All right, next meeting is November 13th at 6:30, unless you are on a subcommittee that is going to meet earlier. And there is no new business posted and no executive session. Do we have a motion
Move
to
to adjourn.
adjourn? Okay, Dave Irving and Gary. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye. Aye, aye.